The bear stalked Allison as she hurried down the trailhead, walking backwards while facing the bear, the creature approaching her confidently. "Get away from me! Get out of here!" She shouted at the malicious animal. She held her camera tightly in her palm as she stumbled down the trail, trying to evade the predator. It swiped at her bare legs, nearly tripping her up. Its sharp, yellow bacteria-ridden claws scathed her smooth, soft skin, and instantly the animal pulled back, as if it were anticipating her immediate reaction. "Ow!" she screeched. "Leave me alone!" Then the grizzled, brazen animal lowered its head and charged. What's up, guys? Iceman here. So this story is about a very unfortunate encounter that a birdwatcher girl had with a bear. But I warn you, it's quite nightmarish. But before I get into it, I'd like to thank you all for your support on this channel. And if you will, like this video, subscribe to the page, and paw that bell so you're notified next time I post a video. And if you want to support me further, you can become a channel member or a patron. Links in the description below. So let's get into this chilling tale. Allison lived with her aging parents in the small town of Ludington, Michigan. Their home was near the Great Lakes, and she enjoyed swimming in the fresh water during the summer. The majestic water was cold and clean, and she grew up enjoying the beautiful things that nature provided. Allison was homeschooled, and during her free time she would often venture into the Manistee National Forest, watching birds and spotting animals that scurried along the ground, keeping a diary of her discoveries. There was one point where she discovered a young black bear cub, seemingly abandoned by its mother. The cub weighed about 30 pounds and followed Allison down the trail as she was heading home one day. The bear cub didn't seem to be afraid of her and approached her, whining as if it needed something. Allison picked up the furry young animal and observed that it felt like it was made of wood. Its bones were so hard and rigid. She was amazed by the strength of the animal and how dexterous its arms were. She carried the cuddly creature home and fed blackberries to it on the way, but soon was scolded by her mother upon arrival and was directed to release the bear back into the wilderness. She conceded to her mother and released the bear about a quarter mile from the house around where she found it. She had trouble getting home without the animal following her, but managed and never saw the animal again. This incident sparked Allison's interest in bears, as they weren't often spotted in the area in which she lived. But something hideous happened that fall. A black bear stalked two women as they hiked along the lakeshore. Eventually, during the stalking, the bear grew brazen enough to attack. The bodies of the women were found 3 days later, cached away 100 yards from the waterfront and in the thicket. Their bodies were half eaten, and the reason of the attack was unknown. This attack was devastating to the town of Ludington. Allison was ordered to stay indoors for days after the incident by her parents, and they forced her to carry bear spray every time she ventured out into the wilderness thereafter. It was a cold October day when the incident occurred. Deep within the misty forest, Allison took notice to a large pileated woodpecker. The graceful creature flew from tree to tree, pecking for bugs as it enjoyed the cool autumn day. The sights and sounds were breathtaking, and Allison began taking several photos of the birds in the area. It was then that she noticed the large dark figure up the trail and how silently the animal approached. Allison froze in fear and remembered that she had the pepper spray in her satchel and was carrying a 3-pound camera with a large lens as well. Her heart skipped a beat as the animal began pacing back and forth, keeping its gaze at her, lowering and lifting its head as if it were contemplating something. Allison began backing away slowly, readying her pepper spray, taking it off safety and holding it tightly in her hand. The animal paced back and forth along the ridge, then swiftly barreled down the hillside in her direction. Allison wanted to turn and run, but knew better and began backing up slowly, continuing down the trail back toward the direction of home. The birds stopped chirping as the bear approached the young lady. It would hustle toward her her and then slow down, allowing the young woman to make some distance between them, only to hustle back to her and wait, as if it were testing her methodically. She stumbled backward, with the pepper spray ready in her hand. The bear would climb a tree up a few feet, only to jump down and continue the pursuit. It never allowed more than 20 feet between itself and Allison. "Get out of here! Go!" Allison shouted. The bear hustled toward her, swiping at her shin, instantly drawing blood. It backed off and watched the young lady's reaction. She screeched and held up her leg, but continued trotting backward, trying to avoid the animal. It came at her again, but this time she utilized her can of pepper spray and emitted a large red cloud in the bear's face. It sneezed and coughed and ran off into the woods, climbed a tree, and stared at the lady, rubbing its eyes with its paws. Some of the spray got into Allison's eyes and mouth, and she coughed and gagged as well, rubbing her eyes with her wrists as she continued to head toward home. The bear took notice to how she was getting away, and it edged down the tree and headed toward her again, brushing its face against the ground a few times as it approached her. Suddenly, the monster charged at Allison. She emitted another cloud of pepper spray, but this time the animal charged through it and tackled her to the ground. It began viciously mauling at her upper body, tearing off her linen button-up shirt and through her flesh. She swung her camera at the bear as hard as she could and knocked it across its face. The bear was stunned for about a moment and grabbed her by the shoulder and began thrashing her around like a pit bull. She fought and fought as the creature crunched into her bones, tearing into her body, clawing flesh off her legs, making them look in appearance like half-eaten chicken wings. The young woman moaned and screamed as the bear dragged her into the brush. It wasn't until later that night that Allison's parents began searching for the young woman. Her father noticed a bear acting erratically about a half-mile from the house. He stopped to watch the animal, and it seemed as though it were protecting something. The hair on his back stood up as he thought of his young beloved daughter. The animal charged him, and he shot it down, and not long after discovered her corpse. Parts of Allison's chest and right leg were eaten right off of her body. Her body was pale and wet, half buried, cached away for later. It was a devastating day for her family, and all the town mourned over the loss of Allison Wickard. Jeez, what do you guys think about that bear story? It reminds me of a video on YouTube that I saw where a black bear was following some guy in a similar sort of region. It seemed as though the bear was showcasing its prowess and strength as it would jump onto a tree and climb up it, only to quickly climb back down and continue pursuing the man. It seemed like it wanted to show the guy how strong it was. Fortunately, in that situation, the guy actually used his pepper spray and it seemed to work on the intimidating black bear. But unfortunately, that just simply isn't always the case. I'm curious what you all think in the comments below regarding pepper spray and black bears. Would you feel safe enough venturing in black bear territory with nothing but pepper spray? Or do you feel like you'd need something else in hand, ready and available? The problem with black bears is the fact that they are more likely to eat their victims over most bears, except for maybe polar bears, who have actually been documented to hunt humans. But black bears are very opportunistic, as we often see them digging through garbage and so forth. So if they attack you, it's probably because they see you as a potential meal. Especially with young, nimble women, it seems that black bears take advantage of such things. A lot of the black bear attacks that I've read on were against women, and I can't help but wonder if, in general, and in such cases, the black bears are simply sizing up their prey and evaluating the situation. But let me know your thoughts on these matters in the comment section below, and I really appreciate you guys and gals for watching these videos. And again, if you will, like this video, and I will see you again soon with more chilling tales from the Iceman.